Hi everybody, happy February. The topic of the day today is Carignan because it's a grape that is actually used all over the world, but I feel like it doesn't really always get the attention it deserves, so I wanted to talk about this grape today. Now, despite having a French name, Carignan, the origin of this grape is thought to be Spain, specifically northeast Spain, so what was like the Kingdom of Aragon at the time. And so then once it was established in this area called Cariñena, hence why it got the name Carignan, it then was planted in lots of surrounding areas in the Mediterranean. So it was planted in France, some parts of Italy, Sardinia, parts of North Africa like Algeria, Tunisia. And so over time, it really kind of became a more widely used grape because what people realized is that it was a great one to use in blends to help fill a wine because apart from anything else, it was so easy to grow. It's a very high yielding grape, so you get a lot of tonnage per acre. So that's really desirable for people who are maybe doing a low, not low, but like average quality wine that they want to make a lot of. So actually one of the places in France where it is really common is the Languedoc-Roussillon. It's used a lot there because that's the perfect climate for Carignan because Carignan it does need a lot of warm soil and dry climate and sunshine to thrive. Like I said, when it is in the right kind of climate for it, the terroir, it does really well and it's a high yielding grape. But you just have to be careful because it can be quite susceptible to vine disease like powdery mildew. Lots of rot problems if it's not in the right climate. But basically, Languedoc-Roussillon is a perfect spot for this grape. And that's why if you try any Languedoc-Roussillon blends, you will probably find that a lot of them do have Carignan in there. It did so well pre-millennium. So in the 1980s, especially the late 1980s, there was a lot of this grape being grown. It was taking up a lot of the vine space in France, and I think it was like 1988 it was classed as the number one most widely planted grape in France. So definitely this is a grape that if you're focusing on the Languedoc-Roussillon, if you're studying wine, you'll know about this grape. But basically, in terms of the grape itself and what kind of wine it produces, the general factors of this grape and the wine is that it's a very high tannin wine. So it's high tannin, high acidity, and it's very deep in colour. So those three things are why it's so popular for blends. Because if you want to make a wine with, something like Grenache or maybe Mourvedre and any other grapes that you feel like one of those three things the other grape slightly lacks, you can add the Carignan and it works really well to counteract those, not defects, but those things about the other wine that maybe need balancing out. So that's why it's so popular for blends. However, there is single varietal Carignan out there, but the best examples of single varietal do tend to come from its origin, its original kind of terroir, which is Cariñena, in Spain. So basically northeast Spain. And the reason for that is because it's the old vine Carignan that produces the best quality that is kind of considered good enough to be single varietal. So with these wines, you tend to get a really, really distinctive thing of cranberry. So really, really distinctive aroma and flavour of cranberry. And in the more ripe expressions, it wouldn't even just be like cranberry, it would be like a jammy cranberry, like a preserve. And then also in some of the most interesting examples, you'll get some savoury notes as well. So you might get like mushroom, like dried mushroom notes, umami, or even like olives as well. So that's in the more interesting examples, but you really would have to look for them, and they would probably come from Spanish examples. But if you wanted to try a more basic kind of example of Carignan, it probably would be in a blend. And if you're someone who is watching this from Europe, you would probably go for a Languedoc-Roussillon. Just look for maybe a Fitu, because they are, some of these ACs within Languedoc-Roussillon that are slightly better than just the standard low kind of baseline stuff. Probably use Carignan as well. But it would be fairly cheap if you are like buying it from a European country. It probably wouldn't be that expensive, because generally Languedoc-Roussillon is known for its affordability and good like bang for your buck. So that's like the main things about Carignan. And as I say, you can get it all over the world. There are some really good examples, especially in California, with some really prolific producers like Ridge Vineyards, for example. They have some Carignan. And then in some of these emerging markets, like I said, in Asia, China, there is some Carignan. But it's still yet to be seen exactly what the opinion is on the quality, because it's still early days. So that's what I've got to say on Carignan. So if you have ever tried a single varietal Carignan specifically, I would love to know about that, because it sounds really interesting from everything I've read about it. Cheers.